Oh, totally got the wrong one on there. Okay. So I just realized I've got the wrong source on my YouTube chat. Give me just 1 second to fix that. And then we will get trucking. So if I go to the live control room here, and I pop out chat and go Control C. Paste that. Okay. Hey. Okay. So I think that's better now. Okay. I still can't figure out why that guy's not doing it for me. Okay. Well, maybe he'll get his acting gear. Okay. Anyway, that's. I guess it's probably time to start driving at this point. So. So on the screen right now, I've actually got a layout I was working on for the Steam controller to play ETS2 or ATS with. I'm actually not interested in most of it right now, but I am going to be using a little bit of the layout, including maybe the escape key right here, and then in menu, I may use it for my mouse instead of using my normal mouse. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and get started. That's my plan. We'll see if it actually works out the way I want it to, but that was kind of what I was thinking I might do this time around. Because my keyboard and mouse is less useful. I did some research and I could not figure out a way to map buttons on the Thrustmaster to do what I want them to do. Let me check my audio levels really quick. Okay, so I wasn't able to do that. I was hoping I'd find a piece of software from Thrustmaster or even a hack from somebody else that would allow me to do it, but I had no such luck. Also, I brought some caffeinated beverage this time because I just keep yawning every time I hop on the stream. So got to figure out a place to put it that it's not likely to tip over. Maybe I'll just set it down here for now. Okay. So at the end of last stream, I was on my way to Russia. In fact, if we go back to here, we are on our way to Kolomnu, Russia. I've got 11 hours and 59 minutes left on this delivery. So if I come up here, I'm actually tempted while I'm here. Okay, I'm gonna switch something up really quickly. Get over here. So I'm gonna actually go to the modified, and I am going to make you are going to be delete that. No, you. It's been a while. There we go. And we are going to make you right click, and then we're going to go to you and soft pull action. And we will make you left click. And then we are going to go to you and take off. Actually, What is it I need to do? And then go to additional settings and take you off of that. And double tap is not going to be that anymore either. No, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to take you off. Okay. I want no input. How do I do that? Is it this guy? Empty. Yeah, that's what I want. Empty. Empty. Oh, you know what? I've got to do that on the... That's what I'm doing wrong. Okay, I've got to do it on the default. Sorry, I'm going to mix up my stuff here a little bit. So I want that to be the mouse, but I don't actually want there to be a click action. Okay. Okay, now if I go back to the modified, I should just be able to leave those as empty. Oh, you. And I do want to do... I want to up the sensitivity a little bit. Okay, so we'll do that. I didn't want to completely go away from that actually. Controller config. Make it big again. Now, if I look at that guy, then, okay, so I am about halfway actually from Lithuania, Western Lithuania, over to Russia. Now, I'm actually getting to the edge of what Rus Maps covers. I'm hauling some kind of a, I don't know, some kind of a watering truck or a tractor connector or something like that. So that's where I am. And that's what I'm looking at. So we'll go back to drive. And I'm sitting in a truck stop. I just barely had a rest. And at the end of last time I was talking about maybe going ahead and buying another truck and getting a driver. I cannot go to a dealership while I'm making a delivery. So after this delivery, I'm probably going to make a trip to a Scania dealership. And if we go look at the map, well, we won't worry about that. But I'll have to find the nearest Scania dealership at that point, I guess. Okay. Now, I've been really struggling with the clutch. I'm going to see if we can make this work here. And I stalled out right at the beginning. I don't feel like my load's so heavy that I should have to do it that badly, but I seem to be struggling, so we will get on the road. Ooh, I barely made it into my power band, and I'm not gonna. We'll go for third. This is quite the hill right here. Go back into fourth. Anyway, so at the end of this, so at the, oh, see now that's only saying 7.5 hours left. Oh, I have 11 hours left till I'm due, but it's only got 7.5 hours left, so I cannot sleep again. In fact, if I sleep again, I will be late. And apparently I've been in high gears this whole time. So I mentioned last time that I don't actually have my new adapter in for the Mega Shifter, so I'm just kind of dealing with what I do have, and it was starting to come more loose, so I went ahead and I wrapped some electrical tape around it, kind of did something to make it work a little better. I'm actually getting, I checked on my shipping, and my adapter is coming in tomorrow. I'm expecting it to be in tomorrow. Why? Is there something under? Ah, there is something under. Okay, sorry. My dang, just a second. My boy was playing earlier, and I was like, man, it shouldn't be moving around that much. My steering wheel was moving around a lot, and I was confused as to why. So but at the time it didn't click why it was. Apparently, I had a little bit of something underneath it that is much more secure. Okay, so let's go ahead and get back to the game then. Sorry, I was just trying to do some stuff and my steering wheel was really wobbling around a lot. So it is much more secure now. And now that I exited the game, I've got to and even now my shifter's already kind of loose again. Dang. Wonder if I can. Probably can't. I'm just gonna have to deal with it being loose, I guess. Anyway, my new adapter is coming in tomorrow, so I'll start using it at that point. Until then, I'm just gonna have to make do with this. So it's actually not loose on the shaft, it's loose up inside. I'm not sure. There's a little, or a big nut actually up in there, which connects the adapter, because it's a real truck shift knob, and so it's got a big old threaded end on it there. And so then there's an adapter on there to adapt it over to a shifter like you have in a race car game, which is not half an inch or a centimeter in diameter. And so it has to have that in there, and there's a nut on there to make it hold tight. And apparently that's not, I knocked that loose, and so now it's just kind of loose on there. So if it were my long-term one, I would definitely maybe I'm gonna have to do something about it. Okay, I'm gonna pause for just a second here. Sorry for the inconvenience, but I am gonna see if I can fix that really quickly. If I get a screwdriver, and I sorry, I'm messing with the nut here. Don't seem to do much. I'm gonna have to take my easy jake off in order to fix that. See if I go up a little higher, maybe. Bring that guy down. What are they doing? Okay. Keep bringing that down. Okay, so I've got to bring it down even more. Man, this is not going to be pretty. I don't want to undo the USB cable, because then I'll have to probably restart the game because it will lose the association. I might actually, you know what? We're going to test it. Hopefully it doesn't. I think I've done it in game before and been okay, but we'll see. Sorry, I'm bringing the knob completely off. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and so what I'm doing here, I guess you guys can probably see my knob, my shift knob. And so what I'm trying to do is, okay, come on. Come on. How many times around do I have to spin this thing? Hopefully only a couple more. Okay, come on. There. Okay. So, if you see right here, there's actually, and maybe I'll hold it up to this. So if you look right inside there, there's a little nut inside there. So I'm hoping that if I can spin that guy down a little bit, maybe I can get a crescent wrench up inside there. Actually, right there. I should have used the right size. I should have. If you guys can still hear me a little bit, but most likely you can't. So let's see. Maybe it's a big corner punch. It's that guy. Okay, that plan won't work. But maybe if I, well, you know what I could maybe do? So if I give it less thread, I can bring it down here where I can hold it. Sorry, this is not what I was planning on doing during this string, but it's just too loose. Okay, so maybe if I do something like that, then I can hold that thread. And then I can, again, I get my adapter in tomorrow, so this will all be for not come tomorrow, but while I'm playing tonight, it matters. And it's totally screwing itself up inside there. Okay, so now if I grab my Okay, I've got to find something that's the right size for that. Not a hammer. Hammer's not a good plan. See if this guy can get on there. Well, maybe if I loosen it a little bit more. I'm going to loosen it so much that it doesn't have any threads on there. Okay, so if I turn it one that way, is that fun? We'll see. Ah, it's just not going to fit. Got that now. Just that size. 17/16. It's going to be bigger than 17/16. 18/16 is 9. 11. Just record it. Let me try to record now. No, that does work. Okay. So I turn him that way, and then I twist him. We'll have to see if we can get enough traction here. It doesn't feel loose. Okay. That is workable. That is workable. Okay, I think. It's still not perfect, but I think it's workable. Assuming it didn't forget what this is and I have to restart the game at this point. Okay. Let's see. Okay, it remembers. That feels better. It's still not great, but it feels better. Actually, let me check really quickly to make sure that my I'm still, because it's taller now, so I need to angle my camera just a tad. Okay, so I think that we are good on that front. And then, okay, so we should be good to go. It's still a little bit loose on there, but I think that's just the, it's not actually screwed down. Okay. Okay. So if I do a resume here, okay, well that feels a little better. I'm glad my adapter's coming in tomorrow because it's worse off than it was before, but it's getting close, so I think that's a workable solution for now. Never enough, never. So 6 hours till delivery. He made it. I didn't know if that cop was gonna make it, but I guess that guy's on the side of the road, so that's not so bad. Let's go ahead and brighten things up a bit. So I do think that I like having my cruise on the hat better than I do having my brights and trying to mess with all that on the hat. They just were not working. Okay, so we've got some kind of construction zone up here. Cool. Got a tractor on the side, a front loader. Okay, oh. You know what? I had to switch that up. Okay, I'm going to switch that up real quick. So I just realized, so I've got on the sides of the, I've got my lights and my wipers, and then I've got views, but I just realized that that's actually bad because I can't shift and use the views at the same time. And no, there's not going to be a better location. Okay, so if I go, that's right, I was going to use this guy, huh? Options, keys and buttons. So I've got the lights. Light mode is now going to be this guy, and the high beams is going to be this guy, and the horn, or the wipers, I mean, is going to be this guy, which means that I've got to go down to my cameras and I need to go to interior camera. Is going to be this guy. Chasing camera, it's going to be this guy, and drive-by camera is going to be this guy. Okay. So now I've got my brights over there. Come on. Yeah. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I did that exactly backwards. It should have been 2 high and then 4 low. And I did it 4 high and 2 low. 2 low to 4 high, which is a much bigger jump than 2 high to 4 low. Okay. Let's go ahead and set cruise. We'll drop it 2 kilometers per hour and we can turn on our brights. But yeah, because I definitely want to be able to cycle my brights while my hand is on the steering wheel. Okay, I'm coming into a town here. Yeah. I was a little bit low for that gear, but we'll survive. And then we've got another light, huh? Oh, because we've got like a construction zone going on. See if we can make this without stopping, but I'm not thinking that we will. And it's going to be right after we stop. Not right after, so that's not quite so bad. Yeah. Oh, come on. Maybe I just need to give it more throttle as I take off. I'm not sure. As I start to let off the clutch, maybe I need to give it more throttle once it starts to catch. I'm not sure. I think they just need to work on the starting off in game where, and you know, maybe that's actually, I hadn't thought about, maybe that's also a side effect of my engines and transmissions mod. Maybe that's actually worse than the stock game, because it seems to be, and I've just been assuming that it was me, but maybe there's actually less starting torque with the mod than there is in the stock game, and so that's actually making it worse than it would otherwise be. But I don't know. I really don't know. So let's see, 60, huh? Go ahead and do brights. Okay, these are quite the roads we got back here. Okay. I'm just thinking back to the hat. I haven't had anything with a hat for a while, like an actual hat. Not, I don't do flight sticks and stuff, but back in high school, I had a Microsoft Sidewinder with a hat. That had a hat. I used it for playing racing games, Wing Commander 4, I think it was. Eye of the Tiger or Wrath of the Tiger or something like that. The very first PC that my family ever had was a Pentium 75, and it had like 4 megabytes of RAM, and after we'd had it for about a year, we bought it in 95. I know that because it was the year Windows 95 came out, and that's what I had on it. After we'd had it for about a year, then we paid to have it upgraded, and we went from a 545 megabyte hard drive, that was big, and added on a 3.1 gigabyte hard drive. Notice the 0.1, that's important when you're working in those numbers. And then it also had, we also went from 4 megabytes of RAM, and we upgraded to 8 megabytes of RAM. And because of that upgrade, my uncle had Wing Commander, Wrath of the Tiger. Man, it was like Wing Commander 3 or 4. You know, I used to know this by heart. Anyway, and he put Wing Commander on it, and I played. I stole it from him for like 6 months or something probably, and it played great on that Pentium 75. Now, this was the first Wing Commander that had 3D graphics, and this was before the days of graphics accelerators at all. Like, there were not graphics accelerators then, and so all of the 3D graphics are handled by the Pentium 75. My buddy had a Pentium 100. I was a little bit jealous there. Anyway, but it played like a charm. Lots of fun. But I think that's when I bought my Sidewinder. It's when I was playing that. I think that was the impetus for buying the Sidewinder. I could be wrong. That could just be my memory, a false memory on that front. But I'm pretty sure that's why I had it, is to play that with. And I used to play it, so there was an option in it that was play with invulnerability, and I always had that enabled. Like, I just played with the invulnerability enabled, and so there were like, well, for the first part of the game, you got, I think it was the Arrow, which was basically a light fighter. And that's what you started with. It only had a few guns. It was easy to fly and stuff, and it was fast, so you had a good advantage. And then later on there was, I don't remember what the second one was, and it was a medium fighter. And then later you got the longbow, which was a bomber. And from the day I got the longbow, that's all I flew with until I think near the very end of the game, you get this prototype, that's holds guns like the bomber but is fast like the Arrow or whatever, so it's kind of a better at everything. But up until that came into play, I always played with the longbow, and it was funny because I couldn't figure out why anybody would ever not want to play with the longbow, because it just had so much firepower, so many torpedoes and everything, that it was just so much more powerful. And it wasn't until years later, I must have been, 95. I was in middle school at the time, so, my middle school mind, my 13-year-old self or whatever, I couldn't understand why anyone would ever want any other in the game, because it was just so powerful. Until I realized that the only reason it was so great was because I was playing, and this was years later as I looked back, that I was playing on invulnerable, which meant that no matter how much everybody else outmaneuvered me, I could always come out ahead, because I just kept, all I had to do was keep coming around again, Eventually I would get them in my sights and I would blast them out of the sky. It wasn't anything to do with skill on my side. It was, well, I was playing on with invulnerability turned on. And so there was no way that they were going to beat me. Imagine that. It just might take time. Now, there were a couple of levels where they were attacking like the carrier. And in that case, I could lose those levels because if I didn't destroy them quickly enough, they would succeed in destroying the carrier. I think. That's the way I remember it. Now, it could be that the carrier was invincible too. It also meant that all of my wingmen were invincible as well. So you start early on, you can only have certain wingmen and stuff, and then later on other people will be your wingmen. And so I never lost a wingman the whole game because, well, they were invincible too. So it took a long time to play through the game, but it wasn't hard. It wasn't a difficult game because I just had to, it was a matter of enough time, not a matter of whether I was going to survive long enough. Anyway, that was probably the first game I ever played that had real 3D graphics. Like, I'd played Wolfenstein 3D and stuff, but all of the baddies on that were actually 2D sprites. They weren't three-dimensional. So that was only kind of a three-dimensional game. The environments were three-dimensional, but it wasn't a three-dimensional layout. That this was, everything happened on nothing happened on the Z-axis. It was all X and Y. You didn't have to aim up and down. That came later on in gaming. But this game, the Wing Commander was X, Y, and Z axes. So you ended up having to keep track of a lot more. It had a radar, all kinds of stuff. Oh, great game, at least in my memory. Now, what I've found out with many of the great games of my past is that if I actually look them up today, they're not quite as great as I remember. So maybe I'll just let it live in my memory as a great game. An example of that, I actually saw a meme about this the other day, and it showed Final Fantasy VII, and I remember Final Fantasy VII being amazing. Like, it was awesome. And then I remember this was probably 5-6 years ago. Come on. Sorry, just about, ran someone over. Anyway, it was 5 or 6 years ago. I found, I was messing around with emulators, and I found a decent PlayStation emulator. I think it was, just PlayStation, not PlayStation 2, just PlayStation. And so, well, what am I going to play on a PlayStation emulator? Final Fantasy VII. That's the big game I remember. I didn't have a PlayStation, but I had a buddy who did, and that was the game we always played, was Final Fantasy, right? And so that was the one I got, and I pulled it out, and I was like, there's something wrong with this game. It's not what I remember it. And it was then that I realized, oh, that's how bad graphics were back then. That's what we thought were cool graphics back then, because we didn't know any better. That's all we had. And so looking at these graphics from this meme of, this is what Final Fantasy looked like, I'm like, oh. And the funny thing is, even now, it looks worse than I remember it looking on that PlayStation emulator 5 years ago, because things have progressed that much more. Like, okay, ETS2, the graphics are decent, right? ATS, the graphics are slightly better, but they're nothing compared to, the big AAA titles. The graphics just don't even, they don't even really, they're much less complicated, which is okay. I'm not dinging it on it, but even the graphics of ETS2 and ATS compared to, I don't know, I think back to like the original not original Need for Speed. The one I remember is actually Need for Speed Hot Pursuit is the one that I used to play with my friends, stay up all night playing it. type thing, and I should have been in the other lane. Anyway, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, and I really hesitate to look back at those graphics or stunts. I totally had not a pirated version, no, not a pirated version of stunts. Now, even at the time, stunts I knew was not all that great of graphics, but it was doable. Like, it wasn't that bad either. It wasn't that great, but it wasn't that bad. It was definitely something that was workable, you know. This would have been a few years ago now. I looked into a kind of an updated version of stunts where someone had tried to, like, had redone it on a modern gaming engine, and that could have been fun to do, although I was I don't remember how it ended up turning out. So apparently I don't have the right of way. I totally was thinking I had the right of way. I'm going. It's okay, I guess, since the light's already turned. And I really need to get this shifting down because I am messing it up. Anyway, all these games that I remember at the time were awesome. Another one that probably falls into that category is, man, I'm slowing down way early, is there was a game called Vet, which was, well, you drove a Corvette, that was it. You know, you had like a few different tunes of Corvettes you could drive, but you drove Vets, that was it. And I remember at the time thinking it was cool. I've since looked back at the graphics that were involved there and the gameplay and stuff, and it was so simple on all accounts. Come on. But gaming's come a long way. Driving games have come a long way. I mean, I think back to that Hot Pursuit. I don't know how many nights I stayed up at my friend's house playing Hot Pursuit all night long. Like, it was that. And we'd start out with, yeah, we're gonna outrun the cops, and then by the end it was just mayhem, just, you know, killing each other, kind of like Worms Armageddon, where we would start off actually playing Worms Armageddon, and then by the end of the night we'd just be playing Launch the Worm as high as we possibly can to get the NASA award. You know, things would evolve or devolve, you know, take your pick. Okay, so I'm looking like, nope, 3 hours, huh? So come about 5:30, I need to be finding a place to stop. Oh, no, I have to deliver if I stop again. Okay, I've got to get this delivery done before that time runs out. Okay, we're gonna... And we've got something going on here. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Okay. And this is my exit to Kolomna, apparently. Oh yeah, that's actually, that sounds right. Okay. Let's see. It's bound to slow. Yep, there's where it slowed down. And I did not signal. Man. Almost had to stop. Or almost had to downshift at least. Anyway, when I was a senior in high school, so we still had that same Pentium 75. I think my parents paid $2,500 for it or something, along with a color inkjet printer, a Canon Bubble Jet, which was, you know, Canon's proprietary inkjet technology. I don't even know what Bubble Jet was like, how it differed from just, you know, every other inkjet out there. Come on, I want to get over. But it was the Canon Bubble Jet 210, BJ210, I think. Anyway, $2,500 for that thing. And 6 years later, it was still the machine that we had. But in my senior year in high school, we had what they called a computer science class. Now, I laugh. I actually, you know, I cringe when I think about that class. You know, we programmed HTML and built a lab. That was all we did, literally. Took some old machines that they had lying around and built ourselves a lab on which we programmed some HTML. So that was our computer science. And the rest of the time we played, I'm totally running over all those curbs. The rest of the time we played Worms Armageddon and Unreal Tournament. That was the one. But in amongst all that junk, I found a Pentium 133. And with a little bit of research, I found out that the Pentium 133 was compatible with our motherboard. So that P75 was good for the motherboard. So I talked to my teacher and he said, yeah, sure, take it. So I took the Pentium 133 home and I was excited. Because if you think about it, from a Pentium 75 to a Pentium 133, that's almost twice as fast. Like, that's a huge upgrade. Now, compared to what was available, as I found out shortly thereafter, it's not much. But 133, I mean, that was a big number compared to the 75 I was coming away from. And so I took that home and I was excited and I tore the machine down and I popped it in and I turned it on and nothing happened. And I think what happened to this day, and this was my assumption then, and I don't necessarily think my assumption was bad, but I think what happened is that it just fried some trace in that motherboard or something. It could just be that I did something wrong. But, you know, that motherboard had a Pentium 75 in it for the last 6 years, and I feel like that 133 just was too much, and it didn't know what to do with it, and it fried. And so too much break. Anyway, so then we had no computer, so we went from a slow computer to what was going to be a slightly faster computer but never booted, to no computer. So I struck a deal with my dad at that point. I was working, and I struck a deal that he would pay half and I would pay half of an upgrade. And so I got on and got doing my research and stuff, and for I think it was probably $200, and maybe it was $200 out of my pocket and $200 out of his pocket, I upgraded to a K62 450. So I went from 75 megahertz to 450 megahertz. It was screaming at that point. And I bought a graphics accelerator. So I bought I think it was a Rage 128, and put it in there, and it was a sweet machine for its day. For a couple $100, it put my other machine to shame. And at that point, I wasn't sad that I had fried the computer anymore, because it probably would have stayed that same computer for who knows how long if I hadn't fried that computer. So we've got a rest area here, and my tired guy's like, come on, let's just sleep. It's like, nope, we don't have time to sleep. I totally just whacked that bus. And this is... Am I even going to make it over this? I feel like that's going to be too steep. A little bit. That was, you know, kind of a little bit steep. My trailer caught itself, which means on this side, I really am going to have to make sure I don't, like, you know, slow down too much, because otherwise I'm probably going to stop. So let's go ahead and... Speeding violation. Oh, come on. I just lost a ton of money. Well, that was a cool little area. I've definitely never been there before. And then I've got a little hairpin coming up right here. Cool. We're gonna split because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to go back down here. Maybe not though. I might hold it. Barely. Maybe. Maybe. Maybe not. But maybe. I fail you, man. Probably time to sip some coffee. About time for you to go to bed. But you gotta make your delivery first. Okay. Apparently that wasn't such a good place to put that down. Luckily I chose a sealed container, huh? Okay, and here is my delivery location coming up on the right. Start slowing it down. My GPS doesn't even know how to get there. Okay, and I'm gonna go wide here because otherwise I'm not gonna make it on this little dirt road. Okay, we're gonna drop into third now. Man, this is quite the rundown place I'm delivering to, huh? Cool. This is way cool though. This is awesome. Okay, so I turn in right here. Nope, not reverse. Went too far there. Does it already have my spot marked for me? Or do I have to check in? Nope, it's already marked. I don't have to check in with anybody. Okay. Nope. Now, here's the thing. With how tired I am, if I take very long doing this delivery, I'm going to end up with a violation here. Okay. Oh, come on. And I went too far. Talk about taking too long with the delivery. There is something not right about this, the way my clutch is set up, that's for sure. I might have to look into my settings there, because with how difficult it is to not stall, I've got to change something. And pretty sure it's not just me, because I didn't have this much issue before. Now that doesn't mean that there's not a part of it that's just me getting used to the new gear, but maybe that's all it is. It's just me getting used to the new gear. Okay. I don't think my parking job is especially good, but as much trouble as I'm having with the clutch, I don't actually care too much. So, oh, I was going to use this guy. That is a horrible parking job, but I'm going to take it. I'm gonna take it. Okay. Oh, I just went up a level. Okay. We are going to go. If anybody who's watching, hey, ETS2 Kakang, welcome to the chat. I thought that I had a thing in that was going to read out when somebody chatted, but it doesn't seem to be working. Give me just a second to see if I can troubleshoot that, because I would love to interact with you guys when you chat. If I can't see it, then I can't interact with it. So let me check that out really quickly. Yeah, he should have read it out. Why didn't he read it out? Did I not have... Oh, he probably did. I had my audio set wrong. Okay. Nope, not you. Yeah. Anyway, welcome to the stream. I'm about to take another job here. And so if anybody has, or I'm about to do a level up here. If anybody has any input as to what I should do for my level up, I have all my long distance down, and the main reason I did that was so that I had the most possible jobs available. But if anybody who's watching has input onto where I should level up, I will probably do it under the ADR, do explosives or something like that. Although I could definitely do it under one of the others. I wonder how much eco driving would actually matter. Normally I wouldn't worry about it at all because it's so little money. But since I'm doing the real economy mod, it does make a difference. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see, we could do, already got explosives and non-flammable gases. We could do flammable liquids or solids, or infectious substances. I may go ahead and just do the non-flammable gases right here. Actually, that is flammable liquids. I may do the class 3 flammable liquids. If anybody wants to weigh in, I know you're about 10 seconds behind me on the chat, so I'll give it a few seconds here to let anybody weigh in if they want to. And then we'll see what there is to find for a job. Now, my guy is very tired, so it's time for me to go find a spot to sleep. Not me, my character. Well, I'm going to continue streaming, but it's time for him to find a place to sleep. So if there's no input, I will go ahead and grab flammable gases, class 3. and see what that opens up for us, because with one mark in all the others I should be able to do any kind of delivery. Oh, I was actually going to, that's what I was going to do. So now that I'm not in the middle of a delivery, I am going to go to the bank and I'm going to get some money. Now, the reason I'm going to get some money, I can now buy borrow $1.25 million. I don't think I want to go that much. Okay, so we're going to do 250, which will give me 310. And then we're going to go to a Scania dealer because I am going to go buy a Scania. Let's see, truck dealers. And what I'm specifically building this one for is for heavy hauling. So we're going to go to Smolensk to go to the Scania dealer and visit that. Yes, we do. Which means we're not going to be where I just was, but that's okay. So I'm going to have to keep craning my neck because my microphone is actually right in front of all the information on the right. I wonder if I can just, for this, I'm going to move it up for just a minute so that it's not such a big deal. Okay. Now I'm debating with myself here because in a real heavy hauler truck, they all have auto trannies, and it may only let me do that, so we'll have to see. But I don't really want to do an auto tranny because I like this, but in order to stay true to the idea of a heavy hauler, I may have to. So what do we have in the way of trucks? So we've got the Scania R360. Let's see, the 2012 and the 2012. That guy, 309,000 euros. That's a little bit more than I'm planning on spending, but I may not be so far off. Okay. Oh, the idea of that much, but let's see. It's not going to let me customize it. Oh, level 25, so I can't do it anyway. So the best I can do is this guy, who's a Scania S or a Scania R. So which one's the new Scania? Is it the Scania 2012? It's got to be the Scania. No. Okay, so this is the Scania R 2012. And this is the Scania R normal. I'm not even sure which one's the new Scania. It's probably the R, the normal. It's probably this guy. This guy is probably the new one. And which one was the... Okay, so that's the one that I can't get. And then the R versus the S. Which one's the taller one? The S. Okay. So we're going to do an S. Okay, let's go ahead and customize. And let's see what we've got here. So on the cabin, the high roof adds light. That's a big addition. I'm going to do without the high roof. Chassis. What is it going to allow me on the chassis? This is going to be an expensive truck. 6x2 mid lift, 6x2 long tag lift. So I guess the long probably gives you a better fuel. Where's the fuel? What does that do? That gives me less. Okay. Okay. Long tag lift, 6x2. I wonder. We're going to do that guy. We're going to do the long tag lift. I'm already 150,000, okay. And then, how big is it going to let me go? 500. 500 is all it's going to let me go, huh? Okay, so if I go for the 500, for 160,000, and then what transmissions? See, they're all the optic routes. 9.16. Okay, we're going to go with the deeper guy, which means I'm going to get less fuel efficiency at high speeds, but I should be able to pull a heavier load. And you know what? As much as I hate it, I'm going to actually stick to that, and I'm going to go to an auto shifting transmission. So we'll see how this goes for me. We'll see how long I stick with that, because I don't think it's going to be very long. But, okay. In here, we are going to do standard dark, standard light, exclusive dark. You know what? I'm spending some money on this guy already. Okay, so what's the difference between the exclusive dark and the exclusive light? Oh, there we go. I don't really care much either way on that front. Anybody wants to weigh in on dark or light, you can do so. 186,000. Excuse me, so if I go to the standard, there's no GPS, right? So I'd have to buy a little GPS guy, which isn't the end of the world. You know, we're gonna go cheap on the interior because I want to save a little money where I can. Extra 20,000, that's a lot of money. Okay, paint job. We are going, you know, I would. Maybe I'm going to go with the. What's my other truck? I think my other truck's a blue. Scandinavian blue. We're going to go with the Cardinal Red Metallic. And accessories, I'm not going to do any accessories right now. Maybe later. And then I do want to throw in a GPS because I'm afraid that it's not going to be with... Oh! Because I didn't get the GPS. That's a good reason right there. And then, because I like to be just a little bit authentic, we're going to get the telepass devices in so that, you know, there's a reason that I can use the telepass. And that is probably it. 4 down at least. 500 horses. That's not as much as I was hoping, actually. We're going to have to see if I can pull some heavier loads now. Okay, confirm. Actually, let's go back into customize because I want to see what it says. Heavy cargo. It's only kind of good for heavy cargo. So what if I choose that guy? No, it's worse. Okay. Okay. So that's the best setup I can get for heavy cargo right now. Okay. Bye-bye half my money. Purchase that guy. Yes, I want to drive my new truck. You are going to go back to there, this slot. Okay. I'm wondering if I'm going to have to go all the way back to Salzburg now. Okay. Nope, I get to drive out of the dealership. Sweet. So, that's my new Scania. Cool. Well, I'm glad I went for the metallic, because that's a nice paint. That's probably what I'm missing on my other truck, actually. Why it seems so much less shiny to me is because I don't have the metallic paint on it. Okay. So now, I'm going to have to see if I can find a heavier load. I also need to see if I go here. I now need to go to my options, and I need to switch to controls. And we are now going to go to real automatic, because that's what I have. Okay, and then let's also hire somebody. Ivan L, huh? Okay, $15.31. I am not doing so hot on guys I can hire. $15.31. 1.7s, 1.7s. No, we're gonna hire Isabel. And she is gonna get to drive my old truck. Okay. Let's do that then. And if I look now, I've got me driving my Scania and her driving my Volvo. I'm gonna miss that Volvo. Let's adjust the cabin before we do anything else. Get it where it needs to be. And so we're gonna scoot back. And then I'm gonna scoot over just a little bit. Like that. And that's actually a pretty good view. I don't think I have to move. Oh, I'm moving my microphone back where it normally is, though. Sorry if there's a little bit of a thumping and stuff in the meantime. But that's not half bad. I'm gonna go down just... No, not you. So if I look up, how far down do I have to go? I should have started the truck before I did this. Something like that. Okay. Let's hear this. I'm going to step outside before I do it. I'm not sure. Is this... Okay, diagnostics. I'm not sure if this is the V8 or not. Not that it matters overly much, but... Oh, and look, I've got a place to rest because I'm at a dealership. So, I want to adjust. Hey, Borkonka. Welcome to the chat and welcome to the stream. you may not know, I'm actually, I think I put it in the description, but I'm playing a real economy mod, so money's hard to come by. And I actually just barely bought my second truck. I had a Volvo FH16 before, and I decided to purchase a Scania R Series. Now, this is a fairly early profile in the game, so I am only allowed up to a 500 horsepower engine. So that's all I could get to. I was hoping to build me more of a heavy hauler setup, which this kind of meets that, but I was really hoping to go for like 600 or 700 horsepower. I'm also over here. I may just turn that off in a minute. I don't know. I got a mega shift over here, but I just barely did an automatic transmission because that's what it is. And so I'm going to try driving automatic for a while. I may just get extremely bored and go back to manual shifting, but we'll see. My guy's getting pretty tired at this point, so it is time for him to get some sleep. So I'm just going to pull right over here, get some sleep, and then, here I am clutching. And I'm already getting ready to shift. Okay. Anyway, so we're going to come over here. I really was hoping to build more of a heavy hauler. And so I'm really a fan of the Volvo trucks. Although these new Scanias are really nice too. And I'm still clutching when it doesn't do me any good. I need to go F2. F2, F2, F2. So I put those mirrors up for you guys. I've actually got 3 screens here, so the mirrors don't do me any good. I look at different mirrors anyway. But for people in the stream, it's really hard to tell what's going on if I don't have the mirrors. So there you go. Welcome to the stream. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and take a rest here, and I'm actually going to go ahead and take a screenshot because let's go photo mode. Oh, and I'm going to do that really quickly too. So photo mode. We're going to switch over to my personal binding. Actually, just go back. Okay, I want to change it so that when I'm on the modified, that this guy becomes a directional pad. No, I'm not going to do that. Dang it. That's not what I meant to do. Okay, we'll just put him back to the joystick move. I need to figure out how I can effectively do the... So I'm using a Steam controller to try and do the menu interactions. In the past, I have not done it that way, but that's what I'm kind of trying to do now, because I hate having all of the... My keyboard isn't very accessible when I'm playing, so I'm trying to make the Steam controller more useful for me, but I think I'm just going to have to, for this, pull this out, and maybe I'll troubleshoot some more in the future here. Something like that. Okay. Now I've got a screenshot that I can throw on as the thumbnail. Anyway, did I already rest? I think I already rested, right? I did. No, I need to rest. Okay. So, we're out in Russia right now. If we look at the map, we are in Smolensk, which was the nearest dealership. I was over in Kolomna, actually, on my last delivery. But now that I'm in Smolensk, I'm going to have to find a job. And I'm going to take a heavier job this time, since I've got a heavier truck. Let's do the excavator. You know what? We will go up to Sweden. If anybody disagrees with heading to Sweden, go ahead and speak now or forever hold your peace. Assuming that's okay. I I'm going to hold for just a second here. I need a refill, so I will be right back after I grab a refill, and we will head to Sweden, and to Linköping, Sweden after that. Okay, I am back. Just apparently I put too much ice in here, so it didn't have nearly as much water. So let's go ahead and go pick up our trailer. Let's set that as our GPS location, and we will get on our way. Come on. There we go. Dropping the controller. Okay. Hop in the truck. Come on, hop in the truck. And if we look at my, let's see, dash display. Oh. Where's my... Oh, in the corner down there. 0 kilometers on the truck. Brand new truck. So, no need for a clutch. Oop. So let's go ahead and... Actually, kind of... Oh, well. Actually, I'm going to adjust that. Okay, adjust seat. I think I'm adjusted a little too far back. Normally I put it all the way back, but I'm having a difficult time seeing out of my side windows. So we are gonna do that. I think I'm good now. Dropped it again. Okay. Hand off the shifter, I don't need that now. Okay. Tell you what, I feel a little bit cheating. That's for sure. Like I said, I don't know if this is going to last the whole driving an automatic thing. I feel like a very American trucker saying that, oh, automatics. Part of the reason I drive or play the game is to shift. I enjoy the shifting portion of it, so we'll see how much I miss out on that. And now the alternate drink. Let's do this. Oh, I do think I want to go real quick. I should have done this before. Options. Controls, real automatic, we are going to go to economy mode because I want to get the best economy that I can out of this thing. And also, is my tag lift up? I'm not sure whether that means it's coming up now or whether that means it's going down now. I think that meant it was coming up because I seem to see it drop down when I picked it up. It's been a little while since I've driven a tag lift, so, and I'm gonna look really quickly. Yes, it's up now. So once I get my load, I need to remember to put it down. Wrong button. Okay, let's go ahead and get that. Freight market. Excavator, take the job. Now, this is the first time I've taken a ferry on the real economy mod, and so I'm going to see if it ends up completely bankrupting me or not, making me lose money on this. Right now I've got $141,000 in the bank, but that's only because I just barely took out $500,000 in loans. I almost said student loans. $500,000 in loans. If I hadn't done that, then I would not have that much in the bank. I think I had 20,000 in the bank after my last truck purchase. I think I got done with the purchase with like 24,000, and then I did some more driving, and next thing I knew I was at 18,000. I'm actually hoping that by purchasing another truck and hiring a driver that maybe I can make a little more money. But so this is going to be my first time doing a ferry, but it is also the first time on the real economy mod that I have a have an employee. So we'll see. Let's hop out and connect that, and then we will drop our axle, give us some more stability. That's sweet. That was awesome. Watch it shift weight to the front of the truck too. Anyway, so this is a lot of firsts right now on the real economy mod. I've done all that in the normal game, but with the real economy mod, everything is just so different. Okay. Okay, and then let's see how quickly I slow down here, because this is not insanely heavy, but it's not the lightest either. 26 tons. Oh, that's actually, it's pretty heavy, 26 tons. I swear it didn't say that much in the, maybe it did, that's okay. I'm okay with 26 tons. I should be able to handle that. Thread my way between these guys talking on the side in that car. And of course. Okay. So I may just quick my engine brake on until I get up to highway somewhere. Okay. This definitely revs way higher than I ever rev it. Oh, I ought to look at my map really quickly. Is there anywhere that I want to visit on my long trek? I could definitely swing through there, or I could go off the way. Yeah, let's keep it a little simple. So we're gonna swing by here and by there. Okay, and then is there anything in naval? No. Okay. Oh, and then swing by there. And then not sure as I'm going to be able to do that. Probably do that. Okay. There we go. Something like that. And then in Ventspils, we will swing by that guy. And then we hop on the ferry. And we're going to head up to Stockholm. I ought to swing through Stockholm. Can I just like loop around like that? Something like that. And then Linköping. how to actually swing into cooping. Is it not going to let me do that? Did it just freeze up on me? You know what? That's probably good enough for this part of the journey. So I am, you know what? Since I'm not shifting anyway, man, it's all over the place. Oh, that's because it's slowing down. Okay. Since I'm not shifting anyway, I'm actually gonna get rid of that camera real quick. So, bear with me for a moment. Since that camera is not really going to be very exciting, sitting there doing nothing. So we will just kill that webcam. And then come back to the game. There we go. Okay. So that should do it. Okay. Again, if it's not obvious, I am playing Pro Mods, and oh, that's why I was in neutral. I am playing Pro Mods and Roost Map. So probably the way I usually like to play, although until recently I haven't actually spent hardly any time out in Roost Map. So I've been playing Roost Map for a long time, but I don't ever really go out there. Like it's one of those things where it's like, well, if I want to go, I can, and then I haven't. It's another Scania. I'm in the Scania club. Anyway, so that's... Oh, I didn't really need to be engine braking on that one. Hopefully I'm not cutting anyone off over there. Doesn't look like I am. Well, a little bit, actually. It's okay. Okay, getting out on the open road now. Man, it's amazing how high it lets it rev, although watching people drive real European semis and they do actually rev that high, like, it surprises me, but okay, so we're allowed to go up to 70. We'll go ahead and go 72. Make it 73. Well, so far it's driving pretty well. Although it's not nearly as exciting as anyway, I'll probably end up going back to shifting my own gears in a little bit. This is economy shifting, huh? Okay, I gotta double check that. Is this really economy shifting? Because I feel like it's not economy shifting. But maybe it is. Economy mode, I don't know what it would be if it was power mode. Okay. We'll go ahead and let that be, I guess. Going over the freeway here. or tollway, whichever it is. I think it's a freeway in Russia. I've got a 28-hour delivery ahead of me. Down to 60. Sure, a lot of cars on the side of the road in this roost map stuff. Kick it back up for the 70 here. I should get up to speed on this portion. Oh, I thought that guy was driving on the road and he's just almost got a ticket. That downhill I hit a good 78 and I'm all over the road. That's what I get for not shifting. Let's do this. Go, go, go. Okay. So earlier I was talking about old computers. So I fried my parents' computer as a senior, and so then the summer after my senior year, I think it was the summer after my senior year, while working, I got together with my dad and we purchased a motherboard, processor, RAM, probably a hard drive would be my guess, because I mean our previous hard drive was 3 gigabytes, and I think they had probably into the hundreds of gigabytes at that point. So we probably purchased a new hard drive at that point. Oh, it was an 80 gigabyte hard drive. It was 80. Not hundreds, it was 80. And I got a Rage Pro 128. And other stuff, I mean, you know, everything we had to have, and I think it came to all of $400 or $500, and I split that cost since I was the one who broke it, but it was old, so it wasn't completely my fault. So anyway, I split the cost and then had a great time. The next machine I built was about a year later. I got back from my first real job I'd ever had, and I had money burning a hole in my pocket. So am I gonna run over these chickens? Apparently I am. I just ran over and killed a bunch of chickens. My guess is it didn't actually kill them, but apparently it's 50 through here and I was still doing 60, so it's a good thing I didn't get a ticket. Anyway, so then I went ahead and I spent, I don't know, probably $1,000, and built myself an Athlon 60. No, it was a Duron. It wasn't even an Athlon. It was a Duron 1 gigahertz. And maybe that's when I bought the Rage 128 or the Rage Pro or whatever it was. I think that's actually when I bought the graphics accelerator. So before that I didn't have one. So I bought that one, and it probably had 160 gigabyte hard drive or something like that. It was bigger, but they still weren't, you know, anything like they are today. And 1 gigahertz. And maybe it was a Duron 950 though, not quite a gigahertz. Athlon, no, yeah, because the Athlon 64 came later. Duron, yeah, I think it was a Duron 1 gigahertz. Don't quote me on that, because that's going off faulty memories here. Oh, I can speed it up now. And that's the one that I took off to college, was that one. And I had for a few years after that. And at one point I upgraded it to an Athlon 64. That's where the Athlon 64 came in. And it was probably like 1 point something gigahertz. You know, something over a gigahertz. And the Athlon 64 was first of all 64-bit, but it was also had more cache. You know what? I should totally swing by that guy. He's not on my list, but I'm totally going to swing by. Because I would be remiss if I didn't. Let's do this. And why are you not going yet? Okay. And I cut that too short, or too tight. Sorry. Message here, just a second. Important one to answer, so there we go. Okay. Anyway, that was my next one. I can't remember from there, but those were probably my first, what, 3 or 4. Before our original Pentium 75, we had an Apple II GS, which we bought significantly used from my grandpa. It was old at the time we bought it. And before that, we had an Apple IIe, which was also something we bought used for probably less than $100 on the Apple IIe at some yard sale, and that was our first computer, was the Apple IIe. I remember trying to learn how to program BASIC and do a few things like that on it. It was great. Ooh. I forgot to use any of my like stop aids, like my engine brake or my retarder on that one. So, oh, I'm not shifting. I mean, I'm trying to shift, but I shouldn't be. And I took that one too tight again. I have a long trailer, I've got to remember that. Sorry, I'm actually gonna pull up. Don't use your phone while you drive, kids. It's not a good practice. And were I really driving, I wouldn't be doing this, so. Let's pause for just a second here. I want to pull up, let's see. How do I wonder if there's a quick way to do that. Well, this is quick enough, I guess. There's a quick way to do that. Okay, we're going to do that. And what I'd like to do, for whatever reason, and I wonder if there's actually... Oh, there's more. Cool. Sorry, I'm just looking. Because there's no way, and this is really something that YouTube gaming fails at, is I can't really tell how many people are viewing the stream. I like that it doesn't have that in the live control view. So I brought up my phone, which is gonna artificially inflate my numbers, but that way I can see how many people are watching. So there's that. 60, let's do this. Anyway, currently I've got a 4790K, although I can't take any credit for it. It's my work machine. And then I actually put a GTX 1060 in it for gaming and streaming. So that's my current setup. Come a long ways since the Pentium 75 days. Okay. Okay. Oh, there's a cop. Good thing I'm not speeding. Good thing I have my headlights on too. Oh, wrong button. That button. Oh, you know what? This is actually a really cool image. I'm going to grab a screenshot here in case I want to use this instead. Photo mode, photo mode. I can't do photo mode because it uses these. Okay, we are going to come around here and I am going to get a shot. Maybe I can do this. Maybe something like that. Let's do something like that. Okay, capture screenshot. Okay. And then we will get back out of there. Anyway, yeah, things have come a long way since, you know, Pentium 75 and 4 megabytes of RAM. And in reality, my kids will probably look back at their childhood much the same, you know, and what is cool today, you know, will not be. Whoa, that is quite the downhill. And I've got some kind of road construction coming up. I'm gonna stop right there where I can still see the red light. I was so close to not having to stop. Now, it's interesting because if I were shifting my own gears, I would be shifting up a gear right about the 1500 mark. I don't rev nearly as high as this guy does. And that's all based off of just, I'm not a trucker, but I've watched a lot of videos talking about trucking and stuff, and maybe it's because I'm watching all the American videos, but they're all like, you know, shift at 1500 RPM, 1700 at the most type thing. And this guy's regularly revving to like 2000, which seems really high to me, but maybe it's not. Anyway, so the driving on the automatic is a new experience for me. Nope, not you. I just wanted to set cruise. Come on, am I gonna run this guy over? I'm gonna run this guy over. Okay, we are totally gonna pass this guy. Unless the computer's crashing. I think the computer's crashing. Wow. Sorry whoever just joined, because now my computer decided to crash. I am not gonna call it. Give me 5 more minutes here and I will be back online. It takes a little while to load up Pro Mods. And Steam has stopped working. I am not sure. I've actually been running into this for a little while, where it'll crash on me. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong or right or not or whatever, but it is definitely struggling, and it always seems to be, you know, it's almost like it's just at the 2-hour mark, because I've been trying to do a couple of hour streams for a little while now, and it happens right at almost the 2-hour mark. So I'm not sure what's going on there. But I will be back. In the meantime, I will go ahead and take a break. Oh, I'm back. Let's try this again. So it seems to be when my stream hits about the 2-hour mark that it just poops out, and I've been seeing that multiple times now. I really don't know what's doing it. It's got to be one of my mods that's not playing nicely, or two of my mods that aren't playing nicely, or whatever the case is. Except it really seems to happen right about the 2 hour mark. Like if I look back at my, and maybe that I'll have to look back at my videos, because I've got like the last 4 videos where I've been driving along, and then like right at the end I'm gonna do my last, gonna go do the actual delivery. Oh, I am speeding like crazy here. Gonna go do the delivery, and then instead the computer crashes, and I've said, well, you know, and it was within the last few minutes of my stream, so I've just been like, oh well, we'll just call it a night, rather than trying to troubleshoot any of it. But I wanted to keep going tonight. Like this is, you know, I don't plan on stopping for another hour here, and so rather than in 5 minutes. So we're gonna hopefully have it work out for us here. And I'm going on the wrong side of the road. Sorry, guy. So hopefully this is gonna work out okay. And at some point it went up to 70. Anyway, so I may have to go look through the logs and figure out whether it's actually the game crashing, whether it's, I mean, it could be something with soft TH, it could be any number of things. Why is that giving so much? Oh. Oh, go figure. Copper waiting to catch me. Well, he didn't. He didn't catch me. I still feel like this guy's not grabbing as well as he did the other night. I don't know. Whatever. Okay. So I was thinking about, on my little break here while I was in between, you know, trying to, I love pro mods. I love pro mods, and I don't know as I say that enough. I probably say it too much. But one of the problems with it is the load time. And I've got an SSD I'm loading off of. I've got a pretty speedy computer, and yet it turns the game load time into a 10-minute process. Like it is, I'm not exaggerating, I don't think. I haven't timed it, but it's a good at least 5 minutes. And so when I'm streaming, that's less than ideal, because, well, then, you know, if something crashes, then I'm out of the stream for a while. I actually usually, for that reason, when I'm doing a stream, I start it up early, and I do the process there where I start up. Now, thinking about that, it's not the 2 hour mark, because I was testing stuff and streaming. I just didn't have it live for a half hour before I actually started streaming. So that would have been more like the 2.5 hour mark than the 2 hour mark. I don't know. There's just got to be something that's not one of the mods. And I love the sound fixes mod, the real sound fixes or something like that. I don't remember the exact name of it. I love it. It's a great mod. But this would not be the first time that I've had issues with it crashing a game too. Man, I need a, you know, I have this whole process I go through with the engine brake and dropping gears and all of that, and I feel like I'm doing horribly at it. And I also see that driving on the automatic, I seem to be missing like all of that. So why in the world am I going over there? I mean, I'm sure I've got a reason. What? That's a long way out of the way for those. And I have to go through 2. So now did I just... Okay, so I'm gonna... If I hadn't been going that way, I might have still gone this way. Okay, so we're gonna skip that stop. Which means I need to hang a right here. And I barely made that turn without going up on the curb. This is a pretty long trailer. For Euro truck, at least. For American truck, it wouldn't be bad. For Euro truck, it's kind of a long trailer. Okay. So, you can't see. I've actually got the... oh, see, I've got it barely visible through my... between my mirror and my A-pillar, which that's something thinking about that. So I'd been mentioning that one of the problems I had with my Volvo truck, I've been driving Volvo trucks in this game pretty much since I started, and that's probably because, you know, they're easy mode. You get the most power for the least money, and they're the most powerful trucks overall until Scania came out, until the new Scanias came into game. So I've got a cop sitting, and I'm totally going to get a red light. Anyway, so I've been driving the Volvos forever, but I've been commenting, and this is because I was watching there's a channel, Stavros something or other, I don't remember the numbers, on his channel, but he does reviews of cars and semi-trucks. Scanias, Volvos, MANs, Renaults, European trucks. And one of the things he talks about with the new Scanias is how great the visibility is. And he talks about they've actually done a lot of work to narrow the A-pillar so that there's more visibility and to move you forward in the truck so that you can see farther down over your windshield or over your dashboard, really. And so I've been noticing as I drive the Volvo, one of the problems I'm really facing is that there's it's got a massive A-pillar, and then there's a slight gap, and then there's the mirrors, and there's not really enough space in between the gap to see much. And then I've got the extra mirrors up there, which are then interfering with my view even more. And so I'm having a really hard time seeing, especially when going around left corners in particular. I try to go around them, and there's just like the whole road is blocked, and I can't tell what's going on over there. So I can't tell if there's cars coming around the corner with me as well, or whether I have extra space. Anyway, but now driving the new Scania, I can see it in game. I can see how much more space. There's a significant gap between that A-pillar and the mirrors, so I can see between there. The A-pillar's nice and narrow, and this is my exit coming up. And on the other side, the A-pillar's really narrow, so it's easy to see between there and stuff. Anyway, let's slow it down here. Need to be a little wider. Okay, and we gotta get going again. I like those reflectors. Anyway, there's a downed tree right there. Okay. Anyway, this is they made some significant improvements to this truck over the Volvo. I don't know how the older Scanias are. I could have purchased an older Scania instead of this one, but I was really hoping to build me more of a heavy hauler. But at least compared to the Volvo I am used to driving, those A-pillars are much nicer. Now I could, actually on my Volvo, I could make my visibility a little bit better if I twisted it so that my A-pillar was right in the middle of my screens there. Oh, that's the other problem, is my screens are also spanning the gap right there between the A-pillar and the mirror, and so I have no visibility. So it might actually help if I turn my view a little bit. Now, that having been said, I'm actually a little bit off center in the truck right here. So if I take a straight line down from the camera, which is the center of my monitor, down to my wheel, it's right in line. But the wheel of my truck is actually off center a little bit. And I usually try to keep it centered, but for the visibility purposes, I went ahead and put it there, because if I had it centered like I needed to, then I had half my mirror was blocked by the gap in the monitors, and so that wasn't ideal either. So that having been said, I could actually see where a 16:9 in the center would kind of be a better setup, because the monitor breaks would end up in better locations. Now, I have also done on these Scanias specifically in the past where when I was driving them, I actually offset my wheel a little bit so that I could drive with it offset, but offset the wheel so that it centered like it was supposed to. Time to slow it down. Okay, I think I'm getting the hang of the slowing down thing when not rolling my own gears, because I slowed down plenty fast enough that time. There's a part of me that's tempted to enable the auto retarder stuff, since that's how the new Scanias actually are. They got an auto retarder that engages when you put on your brakes. You know what? We are going to try that out. So if we go, if I go here and I go to options, no, not you. Options, gameplay. Automatic retarder. No, not you. You. And you. Okay, we're going to try that out. See if I like that at all. Because I like actually being able to engage them before I start to put on my brake, because then it saves my brake wear. But we'll go for a little extra simulation here and see how it acts. Oh. Felt like I wasn't getting anything there until it was too late, and then I had everything. Again, we'll have to see if I like that setup. What I wish I could get is a steering wheel that actually has the retarder setup, where it's got like 4 or 5 clicks in it, so I can do a retarder type setup. The problem is the game isn't really set for that. The game is not designed to take such a retarder, although much like with the SKRS setup, if somebody created one, I think the SCS would probably come in and add in that functionality, make it work. But that would be a cool functionality to be able to add in. Okay, so how much time do I need before I sleep? 2 hours, huh? So that means about 3 a.m. I need to be sleeping. And how's my fuel? 1900. I should be able to finish this whole thing, which is good, because I'm not looking forward to purchasing fuel anytime soon. So expensive. I love the added difficulty, realism, I don't know, the lack of certainty that the real economy mod brings. I mean, when you're playing on the real game, assuming you don't really mess up, you're gonna make money. Like, that's just the way it is. You know, you make money hand over fist. You drive for a couple of weeks, you're a millionaire. I mean, that's how the original game works. But with this real economy, now there's actually a few different real economy mods, and the one I'm using is actually in the Steam Workshop, and I think it's just called like Realistic Economy mod or something like that. But there's also classes economy mod, which I've thought about trying, but frankly, I'm playing this one right now, so I haven't messed with it. We'll see. Classes economy mod specifically has a modification for when you're playing on pro mods because of the extra ferries, and that's where I'm really not sure that this is going to work out. And I may end up having issues because of this, taking the ferry across, because I may lose all of my money with the ferry toll, which is going to be significant. I mean, if we look, my payout for this job is $2,600. So if the ferry's more than a couple $100, it's not going to be worth it. Oh, and here I am manually running my retarder. Oh well. Okay, I'm gonna have to take this really wide because I have a long trailer. And I made it. Hey Crash Bandicoot, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you on board. I was just talking about, so I'm doing a real economy mod, and this is the first time that I have gone to, oh, I wonder if I should have stopped there. Let's see if I've got a place. Oh, thanks for following. I'm gonna have to exit right over here and hit that stop because I'm about to get too tired. I'm gonna have to hit this guy. Yep, we're gonna stop right there for the night. I'm not gonna stop the stream. My driver's gonna stop and take a rest because it's that time. Anyway, I haven't done a ferry yet on the real economy mod, and Classes real economy mod specifically has an add-on for pro mods for the extra ferries, which I'm not playing Classes. I'm playing a different real economy mod which does not have such an option, so I'm hoping that I don't end up getting extremely overcharged for this ferry and losing all the money I would otherwise make. Because, you know, $2,600 for a 1,200 kilometer journey could disappear pretty quickly. One of the things I really have to watch is tickets, crashes, whatnot. Yes, thank you. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Glad to have you on. Glad to have you on board. Oh, here's where I was stopping. So I do not need fuel, but I do need a stop. So hopefully this ferry doesn't deprive me of all my hard-earned winnings. I already got I already ran through a red light and got a fee for that, so I've already lost $200 out of the $2,600 I'm going to be making. Let's go ahead and kill our lights. I got a new steering wheel recently, so I'm trying to remember which buttons map where. Kill the engine. I'm kind of stopped out there in the middle. They can barely get by. Anyway, let's go ahead and sleep. It should be daytime when I wake up. Cool. And my driver just got paid. Ooh, $41. She just made $41. Look at that. I think I paid her $56 and she made $41. Man, that's not very much. Okay. Let's go ahead and start it back up. I just barely bought this truck. Crash Bandicoot. I just bought this truck. In fact, I've probably only got, if we look, 436 kilometers on it. So this is my first delivery with it. And I hired a driver to drive my old Volvo, which I was driving previous to that. And I also, normally I drive on a manual transmission, and I try to stay as realistic as possible on that front. But in reality, most European trucks are auto shifting trucks anyway. So in the interest of being more realistic, I'm choosing to drive automatic right now, which is not my favorite. And at some point here, I will probably switch back. I'm probably going to get bored with driving on automatic, and I'll probably switch back, which I'm not so good with the Scania layout, but I do drive with it a little bit. I usually drive with the Volvo layout. So if I switch back, it'll take a little... Cool. I love the Scanias and the Volvos myself, and it's interesting because for a long time I didn't drive Renaults, I didn't drive MANs, I didn't drive even the Mercedes. I didn't drive any of them. I think I just took a wrong turn. We're gonna see. Okay, if we figured it out, and I just didn't like them at all. Although I've gone back. Oh, and Ivecos. They just all seemed, compared to the Volvo in particular. Although with the new Scanias, they're beautiful trucks. But they just didn't seem to do it for me. Like, I wasn't that big of a fan of them. But I have gone back. So if you go back to my earlier ones, this is my 7th video, I think, in the Real Economy mod stream that I've been doing. And if you go back to the early ones, I was driving some Ivecos and some MANs and whatnot, and they're not as bad as I remember. They're still not as good, but one of the things I really like about the Volvo is actually the driving position on them. I've got a triple screen setup, and on many of the trucks, I really struggle getting everything I need inside the view screens so that I'm not scrolling around all the time. The Mercedes are probably the worst on that. And the Volvos are the best. Although, as I was commenting a little bit ago before you hopped on the stream, these new Scanias are beautiful on their view. The A-pillars are thin. The view is just wonderful on them. The Scania actually did a really good job redesigning their trucks, which SCS has then gone and represented very well in game. Now this is the first time I've really been noticing this, but if you want to hear somebody talk about it, there's a YouTube channel called Stavros. You don't want to leave my stream to go watch it right now, but there's a guy named Stavros who actually does reviews. He does reviews of cars, he does high-end sports cars and stuff, but he also does semi-trucks, European semi-trucks. And he's got a whole video or 2 videos or something where he talks about the new Scanias and how much better the design on the new Scanias is in every way. They've got the, and I think, so I'm still running 1.30 because in order to play Pro Mods, I can't upgrade yet until Pro Mods is upgraded. But I think in the new 1.31, they've actually represented the dual clutching that the Scanias now do, and I think the Volvos do. You can get Volvos with dual clutching, and so between the dual clutching and they narrowed the A pillars and they moved so the dashboard is thinner now, so that you sit closer and you can see down in front of the truck better than you could before. And he just talks about all the things that they improved on the Scanias. And so ever since watching those, I've been like, I ought to buy a Scania. One of the problems I face with the Real Economy mod is that it's just so expensive to buy a truck. So anyway, I went ahead and did it. I hired somebody to drive my Volvo, and now I'm driving the Scania. I was hoping to put in a bigger engine. I'm not leveled up enough to do so, so 500 is the most I could do. So with that in mind, I'm hauling a fairly big load as far as that goes right now, but there's that. Earlier I was talking a little bit about older computers I had and different things like that. But one of the things I thought about is I had that Sidewinder, right? So the Microsoft Sidewinder. It was a great joystick for its day. It wouldn't hold up to today. Damn it. I was sure I was going to get a speeding ticket right there. I totally didn't. I don't know why I didn't, but I was sure I was going to. Anyway, so I had a Microsoft Sidewinder, which for the day, it was a great one. We also had a couple of like really cheap, Super Nintendo knockoffs, which at the time, PlayStation didn't exist at the time. So that was who people tended to copy, was Nintendo. Today pretty much everybody has a DualShock 4 style controller, and I totally just took that sign out. And they're laughing at me, I bet. They're like, idiot. Anyway, pretty much everybody today does a DualShock style controller. But back in the day, it was Super Nintendo. That was the one that people copied because that was kind of that was the good one at the time. Anyway, so I had the Sidewinder, and then we actually had this. It was like a Super Nintendo controller, but then it had a little joystick that you could stick in the D-pad, and it was like a joystick, like it was not a joystick. There was no analog to it or anything. It was just, a D-pad with a joystick stuck in it. So it was not like a joystick. But the Sidewinder was great. I remember playing Need for Speed with it. I remember, all kinds of stuff. And it had the hat, up top, and the hat was great. I thought it was awesome. It had I think 2 buttons, a missile button and a other gun button, or a main gun button. And then it had a hat for looking different ways or switching things up or whatever. No throttles, nothing like that. It was, just really simple. But that was what I had at the time. That was, and I think I paid probably $50 for that thing in its day. And I had it for years. You really just came out at me? That guy just didn't stop. Anyway, I didn't get fined for it, I guess, so there's that. Hopefully my truck isn't damaged. If you damage my new truck, I'm gonna be a little doesn't show any damage. Anyway, so I had the Sidewinder, and then later, I'm trying to think of what my next. Probably the next real controller that I bought was a Logitech steering wheel and shifter. But it was the shifter, I don't even remember what it was called now, but the shifter was mounted on the side of the steering wheel section here. You also had flappy paddles. But it was, sequential only, no 8 shifter or anything. And probably a couple of buttons on there. That was back long before Xbox was the standard and everybody would do the Xbox layout and stuff. So it probably had 3 or 4 buttons or something like that. And used to play Need for Speed. Oh, what was it? Need for Speed Underground. Need for Speed Underground? Underground 2. I think it was Underground 2. Anyway, on that one. So I had that one for years, and I'd break it out here and there and break out Need for Speed again. And that was, for its time, it was pretty good. It was pretty good for its time. I think it cost me all of $80 or something, and there were probably better ones out there that I was not aware of. But that's the one I had. And so that was probably my first steering wheel I ever bought. And then I had it for a long time. And at some point, I sold it. I gave it away. I'm actually not even sure what I did with it. My wife could probably tell me, but I'm not sure what happened to it. I must have given it away. I don't remember selling it. It was probably one of the times when we moved, it was I'm just tired of hauling this thing around because I haven't used it in so long. And so then I gave it away, or, didn't pack it up and gave it to somebody. But so that was probably my second. I don't know, I probably had some kind of controller in between there. I remember the little Super Nintendo style Mad Cats, whatever it was. I don't remember who made it. Some Walmart controller. Never worked very well. We tried to use it to play some things, and it just never worked really well. Okay, time to put my foot into it here, as it's time to slow down and come upon a roundabout. So I guess it's not so bad that I didn't put my foot into it. She's turning. Okay. Oh, wrong button. My wheel was turned and I hit the wrong button. Okay. Anyway, so I had that. It was for its time, you know, it had early force feedback on a wheel, and it was a good wheel for its time. It really was. And then the next wheel I bought, well, next thing I bought that I can remember, there's got to have been some stuff between there. I probably had a couple, actually, back when I bought Lego Star Wars, I bought a couple of cheap, like, Logitech DualShock style controllers. That's probably when I bought it was the 310s. So I had two of those, so they were wired, $20 a piece or something. They were actually decent controllers for the day. Income $96. I got paid. Well, Isabel got paid. And she leveled up. Look at that. And so I had those for a while. They finally kicked the bucket not too long ago, actually. And in fact, when I bought my G920, which is still on the floor right here because I only got its replacement yesterday, when I got that one, I still had the 310s, and what I would do for extra buttons is I would actually strap the 310 onto the bottom of that steering wheel. It's got a little T in the bottom where the Xbox button is, and I would just zip tie it right in there, which would then allow me to have extra buttons easily on hand. And it worked pretty well until the 310 started giving me issues. And I think it was when I started playing. No, I think that's when it was. It was giving me issues playing American Truck or Euro Truck. It wasn't really working well, so I purchased a DualShock 4 Ogre. So I purchased a DualShock 4, and then that one couldn't strap in place the same way. I was actually a little bit sad because it just wasn't shaped quite as well. The other one had more rounded features, and it fit into that shape a little bit better. And so when I got the DualShock 4, I couldn't strap it in place like I did the F310. F310, that's the model of the Logitech controllers. So then I had to, I used the DualShock and I would put it next to my shifter, because that was when I started doing actual shifter layouts where it was, you know, split and range select, and I would just use two buttons on the DualShock to do split and range select. That worked pretty well. And then I bought the Mega Shifter, which I've had now for 6 months, I want to say. Yeah, 6 months sounds right. Which I'm totally tapping the Mega Shifter as I realize that camera's not actually on, because I'm driving an automatic right now, so I don't need the Mega Shifter. Normally I have the camera looking at the Mega Shifter. Anyway, so I bought that 6 months ago after a failed purchase of an SKRS, which is another story altogether. Well, I tried to buy an SKRS. I looked around and I read about them, and, you know, I read good reviews and whatnot. I was like, okay, I'm doing this. And then I purchased and I never saw it. You know, nothing came. And so I tried to buy the SKRS. Failed. I waited a month and a half, and then I sent them glad to hear, Crash. Glad to hear. I tried to purchase the SKRS, which, if you know what that is, it's like my Mega Shifter. You can look earlier in the video later if you want to see, oh, this is totally me. Yeah, and so I got the SKRS. Well, I tried to get the SKRS, and I still had the DualShock 4. The F310 had bit the dust. Okay, really? Sorry, he's like stopped right there. Okay, there we go. And so the F310 had bit the bucket at that point, so I was just using that. Anyway, so I saved up and I was like, I'm going to do this SKRS thing. And so I sent them my $165. And a month later, nothing. I was trying to be, it's some guy making it out of his garage, and so I was giving him the benefit of the doubt that he would eventually send it. Oh, I think I'm almost to the ferry here. And I am gonna have to get a screenshot up here. Let's grab something right there. Anyway, so I bought the SKRS, or I tried to buy the SKRS, and it didn't come. And so over that month process, I started looking around. I was like, okay, am I the only one, right? Like, if I'm the only one, I'll wait. Eventually it's going to come and stuff. And I started looking, and lo and behold, I wasn't the only one. Everybody who had ordered an SKRS within the last, that's pretty cool, within the last 6 months, 9 months, had not received it. And they had tried to get refunds and got no word back. And so I was like, fine. So I started going through the process of trying to get a refund. Didn't hear back. I opened another ticket saying, hey, I responded to that ticket on their site and, and said, hey, any word. And then later I opened another ticket. And finally I read about somebody who said, look, I put in with Better Business Bureau saying that these guys are fraudulent. And at first I was like, no, they're just backlogged, right? But then the problem with the backlog story is that, like, he's not even answering questions to his customers. And so I was like, fine. So I did the Better Business thing, and I got no response. I gave it like 2 weeks or something, got no response. Got a whole video where I go through this. Anyway, and then I was like, fine. So I went and I called my bank and I said, reverse the charges. And luckily I actually go through a local credit union, and they said, yep, no problem. I've heard of people who have had nightmares getting their money back. Because he charges you right off. He doesn't ship ever, but he charges you on day one. And so I got the money back and turned around and I ordered the Mega Shifter because I'd read about it beforehand. Or during that time I read about the Mega Shifter, and it's like, man, I wish I knew about this before I tried to purchase the SKRS. So I try to tell everybody I can, don't go for the SKRS, do the Mega Shifter, you'll actually get it. And on that front, when I originally bought the Mega Shifter, I had my Logitech set. So I ordered an adapter for a Thrustmaster this last Monday, I think it was, and it should be here tomorrow. So it's no Amazon Prime, don't get me wrong, but it's no SKRS either. I'm totally getting in front of him. I'm totally getting in front of him. I cut him off like crazy. But it's no SKRS. You will actually get it. And it was $185 for that. It was not cheap. Let's slow it down here. Anyway, so that was, and then this last week I was actually watching somebody else stream, and he was talking about how great his Thrustmaster TMX with the TH8A shifter was. And I was like, is it great? And I was talking to him, and he's like, no, it's so much better, because I was telling him I've got the G920, and he said, I'm sorry, I almost bought the G920 until I started reading reviews about the Thrustmaster TMX, and it really is just that much better. And I was like, okay. So I got looking. I'd actually been saving up for the last 6 months or so to get a new graphics card, and I decided, well, a graphics card would make my games better, but a better steering wheel and stuff might actually make more of a difference. And so with the G920, everything hooks into the G920, and then it just has a USB that goes in. So once you have, I guess I'm gonna go. So with the G920, you can't use the shifter unless you have the steering wheel. Although I did find an adapter made by somebody that might make the shifter work without the steering wheel, but I wasn't sure. And I'm totally cutting them off. And anyway, so there was I was like, okay, well, I didn't have enough money at the time to buy the whole deal. One thing is I didn't actually want the TMX. I wanted the TX, which is what I have now. Because the TMX it's kind of like the G920. It's the lower dollar model, although it is slightly more expensive than the G920. But in the Thrustmaster series, I've done all the research in the last couple of weeks, so that's the only reason I know any of this. In the Thrustmaster series, everything's interchangeable, right? You know, you buy the TX base, and you can get like 4 or 5 different steering wheels to put on it, and they're interchangeable. You can take one off, put the other one on. They've got like 2 different sets of pedals you can have. Ooh, I totally got that. They've got a couple of different shifter options, and any of them will plug and play with one another. You can just go. And so I was like, okay, I want to get the TX. And I had looked at this, so it's the R383 Rally, Sparco Rally add-on, something like that, which was a 13-inch steering wheel. And one of the things I wanted for trucking purposes is to get as large of a steering wheel as possible, because a real truck has like an 18-inch steering wheel, and I knew there's no way I was going to get that. But 13-inch was about the biggest I could find, and so I went with that one. But that was if I went with that one, then that meant that I couldn't get any of the bundles, because it's not bundled with anything. There was a bundle, you know, that could have saved me some money, but it wouldn't have been the steering wheel I wanted. So in the long run, I actually would have spent more money trying to save money. So I didn't. So I decided that what I could do is, for the shifter, it comes with a USB cable. So I could plug the USB cable in and use it with my current setup, no problem. So I ordered the shifter and the pedals, because the pedals plug into the back of the base here, but Thrustmaster does make an adapter that allows them to run on just USB, so you can run them without the base. So I went that route, and that is a dead end. I'm totally killing that motorcyclist, but that's a dead end. Doesn't look like it because of one of the mods I have, but that's a dead end. And I would have ended up off in Oblivion eventually. Anyway, so I bought the TH8A shifter and the T3PA Pro pedals. And I wanted the Pro pedals specifically, a couple of reasons. They're better, but they also allow you to go inverted, which I tried out and found out that, well, if they're inverted, then when I push the brake hard, they try and tip over. So I actually went back to them in the non-inverted, where they're flat on the ground again, which compared to a semi is actually more realistic, but compared to what I'm used to in a car, it's kind of backwards. I don't notice it, so it's not really a big deal. But that is one of the reasons I bought the Pro pedals. Now I have the conical mod in there, and it's way better. But so I bought the pedals and the shifter, and then it was actually a week later. So this last Thursday was payday, so I was able to scrape together the last of the money, and I went ahead and ordered the steering wheel and the base at that point, which I could have saved myself $15 by had I ordered it all together, because I wouldn't have had to bought the little USB adapter guy. But in the course of it all, it was about a $750 purchase all in all. So about twice what I paid for my G920. Well, 2.5 times what I paid for my G920. So all in all, the $15 didn't matter too much. And I'm actually continuing to use it. Despite having the base, I'm continuing to use the USB adapter, because I like having them separate. Okay, so how long do I need to... 3 hours till I sleep. So about 11 o'clock. Was that 3 hours and a little, or just... Okay, 3.5 hours more. So that'll be 18. No, that'll be 21. That'll be 9 o'clock. So 9 o'clock I need to be getting some sleep. 2100. So anyway, so that's kind of my progression through steering wheels and everything else. Going from I should have had a turn signal there somewhere. Going through, playing Need for Speed Hot Pursuit on a keyboard, not even a mouse, just a keyboard, because we were playing 2-player split screen, so we had to each take half the keyboard. As probably among the first racing games, I'm trying to remember, actually I guess Stunts probably came first, which was also keyboard, arrow keys, and then like shift and control or something for gas and brake, and that was about it. I think I did manual shifting on that, but I don't remember, you know, what keys it would have been. Probably A and Z actually for manual shifting. Okay, I'm not speeding. But that would have been, you know, going from a keyboard only setup back in the 90s, now to a Thrustmaster TX, which is great. Now, since purchasing the Thrustmaster, reading all kinds of things about, you know, OWA and Fanatec and awesome setups they have and all these, and it's like, but then you're getting into, I actually priced it out on the Fanatec, so I spent $725 on my Thrustmaster setup. It would have been twice that for a Fanatec, and it probably would have been better. Like, it probably would have been a better setup, but that's more than I can justify spending. So I would be saving my pennies for a while before I could afford that one. So so this was a good level up. I mean, the force feedback on this is so much more solid. The steering wheel is 3 inches bigger in diameter or something like that. Maybe it's only 2 inches, but it's beefier. It's I do miss some of the button options, and I mentioned this in my last stream. Logitech does have pretty good software for configuring, so for configuring their stuff, although Steam's is better, and I wish that Logitech and whoever else, now it wouldn't work with games outside of Steam, but I wish that that people would actually get with Steam and allow Steam to configure Thrustmaster setups and Logitech setups and stuff, because that's something I've been wanting for a while now. Because Steam allows you to do some stuff that pretty much nobody else's software allows you to do, and that's things like long presses and double presses, and makes things way more useful. In fact, let's do my turn signal like I'm supposed to with my super long trailer. Okay. I'm going to hold up so I've got a Steam controller here, which I'm currently using to run my stream and do the menus and stuff. And the cool thing about the Steam controller, it's got some cool features, gyro, the grip, and the 2 touchpads are actually pretty good for some things. But the real beauty of the Steam controller is the Steam software and the ability to customize it beyond anything. Like, you can do all kinds of cool stuff, but that same Steam software can add most of that power to a DualShock 4 controller or an Xbox One controller, because it has the ability to also configure those controllers. And so, you know, you can get in and you can do long presses and you can do double presses, and you can do all of that. So I actually have a setup on my Steam controller, another profile where I've been trying out the Steam controller instead of, oh, that is me, instead of using, well, it was back when I instead of using my whole steering wheel setup, just to kind of mess with it. And it's actually surprisingly playable. Not as playable as this, but it's pretty good. But one of the things that I did is I like to use cruise. And on my G920, I originally had Y, X, A, and B set up to run the Steam. Ooh, it's a Volvo dealership. So to run the cruise, I mean, not the Steam. And so I would use, let's see, how long am I till bed? 2 hours, basically. Okay. Sorry, I got to plan my rest stop here really quickly. Oh, you know what? I'm totally going to make it to the ferry before I have to sleep. That's awesome. That's always the best. Anyway, apparently I just took a wrong turn. This is not where I'm supposed to be going. And any minute now, I am going to run out of road. In fact, we're going to see where it goes. I want to see how far this goes since I'm already on the wrong road. As you can see, I'm nowhere on the GPS. One of the mods I have actually takes off the dead ends and stuff. And it looks like we are running out of road right up here. Hey, look, it's the end of the road. And if I drive through that, I will fall off the end of the world. So we're just going to turn it around here. Oh, I didn't quite make my corner. Okay, we're gonna make this one though. Oh, I'm totally clutching. And I don't have a clutch. And... come on. I'm not gonna make that. Okay, so we're gonna back up a little. Oh, wrong gear. We're going to hopefully not back that off the end of the world, because that would probably drag us with it. And we're going to jackknife it really well, and then we're going to turn really sharp. And actually, I am going to pick up my drop axle, because then I can turn even sharper. Is my drop axle back down now? Should be back down now. It's back down. Okay. We are good. Back on the real road now. Anyway, so the configurability that the Steam software brings is amazing. I mean, it just does all kinds of cool stuff. And that makes insane amounts of difference. It makes the Steam controller what it is. In fact, if you didn't have the Steam configurability, it wouldn't be very great. It would be a good controller, but it wouldn't be a great controller. Okay, wait, what? Is it now turning me around? You know, I probably can't make that corner. Okay, maybe I'm gonna make it to the ferry before I have to go to sleep. Yes, no, that's the Volvo dealership. Anyway, so with all that configurability, it becomes an amazing controller. In fact, there are a lot of things that you can do on there that make it better. So the layout I have when I'm playing with just the controller, I like cruise. But one of the problems with playing with cruise on a controller is you can easily eat up 4 buttons, and you don't have that many buttons because you just have what's on the controller, right? I mean, you don't have that many buttons, and eating up 4 of your buttons towards that, well, then what are you going to use for wipers? What are you going to use for lights? What are you going to use for all these other things? And so what I was able to do is I was able to take just 2 buttons, and I set one button, X I think, to set the cruise, and then I took another, and then I took that same button to set, to set the cruise, and I used the same button to decrease the cruise, but on a long press. So if I tap it, it sets the cruise. If I hold it down, it reduces the cruise. And then I think I set it on a repeat every few seconds or whatever. So if I hold it down, it just ticks it down, 1 kilometer an hour at a time, and ticks it down and ticks it down and ticks it down until it gets to the speed I want. I didn't want it to go too fast, because then, it would be difficult to use because I'd have to time it really well, but it worked really well. Same on the resume. Is I went ahead and tap it to resume or hold it down to increase the speed of the cruise. So then it was, click, 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 click going up, which is similar to a real car. Most real cars on their cruise, they have one button that, turns on the cruise and is also used, turns on and off the cruise, but is also used to reduce the speed of the cruise. And then they have a button that's set to resume it, which also increases the speed of the cruise. So it works out really well. I then did the same thing on the headlights. So you've got the normal turn your headlights on and off button. And then you've got let's do this. So you've got the turn your headlights on and off button, and then you have your high beams. So it's like, well, let's combine those together. And so what I did is, because the high beams would be something that I would probably be... Did I just go around in a circle? I feel like I just went around in a circle. There's that same Volvo dealership. Did I just go around in a circle? I literally just went around in a circle. I may not make it before it's time to go to sleep. Anyway, so then the high beams are something where I'd want to be able to quickly do it, you know, tap it on and off type deal. And so I did that. So I had the button probably Y because it's yellow like the lights. So I did Y. If I tap it, it turns the brights on and off. If I hold it down, it changes whether the lights are on or not. So, you know, it's the turning the parking lights and the driving lights on and off. So that means that X and B were my cruise buttons and Y is my lights button. And so with just those 3 buttons, I have a lot of functionality. I'm trying to remember what else I set up. Okay, well, I got out of my loop, whatever the case. That is cool. You guys can't... there's a bunch of container ships and stuff off over there. That looks cool. Anyway, so by then using all of Steam's configurability, it brings a whole lot more power to whatever controller you happen to be using. Like I said, those same configurable... Oh, sweet! There is totally a turbine. I am... Okay, I gotta get a shot here, because there is totally a turbine right here. Anyway, so by using all of those different options, you turn what could be a fairly simple... Man, that is big. Anyway, what would otherwise be a fairly limited setup into a very usable setup. Now, the other thing that can go into that is you can do layers and action sets and stuff. And basically what that is you push a button or you hold down a button and suddenly your layout changes. So when I go to park, right, because it's like, oh, how do I turn off my engine and go to sleep and activate things and set my parking brake and do all of those things. So then when I would stop, I hit the left button right here, which activates a different layer, which is actually the layer I'm using right now, which has the escape key mapped and the enter key mapped so that you can go forward and backwards in menus just like you would on most consoles. And then it also, I think it upped the sensitivity of the mouse so that you can look around better or move around better, because I didn't want you to look around too fast. And it enables the mouse gyro, so then you can use the gyro. And I actually earlier changed it so that what the analogs, which would normally be the throttle and the brake, now become the right and left click. Ooh, that was kind of a sharp corner for the speed I was going. Anyway, so just things like that. And then, oh, actually on that note, so I like to shift my own gears. But obviously on a stick you can't, on a controller you can't do an H style shifter. So what I did is you've got the bumpers and you've got the triggers, right? And the triggers are analog with looks like I need to go to the right. Yeah, I think I need to go to the right. So they're analog with a click at the end. So you end up with a complete analog right up until the end, where then you can map something else. And so I was able to map on the throttle, I think it's just the throttle, but on the brake I did something like at the end of the travel, it's engine brake or something like that. I don't remember what it was at the end. Well, I looked at doing something like that. And then as far as the bumpers, well, you need turn signals, but you also need to be able to shift up and down if you're going to manually shift your gears. And so what I did on that front is I actually put it where if I, let's see, shift up and down, it's click, click. But if I want to turn on my turn signal, it's hold it down. It's a long press to turn on the turn signal. And so then it ends up where I can do both my turn signal and shifting with the same thing. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and hit our parking brake. And let's see where we're trying to go. I assume that's where we're trying to go, since that's the only place that this one will allow me to do. $800. It's a big chunk of change out of what I'm currently doing. But what can I do? Anyway, so the Steam controller, in a lot of ways I like it. Some other ways it's not so great. In fact, what I have found I like it most for right now is for things that were originally designed for mouse and keyboard. Things like strategy games, City Skylines. It works pretty well for City Skylines, actually. I don't know as it works better than a keyboard and mouse setup, but it's something that, you know, you can sit back on the couch and play instead of having to be at a computer desk the whole time. So there's that. Anyway, so I like the Steam controller, but in truth, the greatest strength of the Steam controller is the Steam client itself, which allows you to configure that. So if Thrustmaster would then go over to Steam and say, hey, we'd like you to be able to configure our controller, or, you know, take a page out of Steam's book and really create although, I mean, they've been doing a lot of development to get it where it is today, so that would be a pretty... come on. Okay, I'm clear. I totally hit him. That was me, not him. That was me. Anyway, if Thrustmaster would go over and say, hey, you know, you can configure Steam with it. Because, and here's my reason, the Logitech comes with configuration software, and it was great to have. I had, you know, one of them configured to escape so that I could get out of menus without having to find my keyboard, things like that. Where in game, you can assign something to, in fact, if I just show right here, let's see, if I go to the menu, in game, so if you come over here to the controls, no, not you, keys and buttons, and then I scroll all the way down, then escape is set to menu, but it does more than just menu. It actually allows you to get out of dialogues and stuff, which the menu button does not do. If you map something to the menu button, it allows you to get into the menu, but it doesn't allow you to get out of the menu. And so there are limitations to what you can do just in-game mapping a controller. And so one of the things that the Logitech software allowed me to do was, oh sweet, I have completely slept. The Logitech software allowed me to go in and remap that. So I could map the menu key to escape. Not to menu, to escape. So then I could get out of menus with it. I could get into menus, I could get out of menus. So that was really nice. I was able to map keys as F keys and different things, which I can't do with the Thrustmaster. So despite how wonderful of a controller it is and how wonderful of an ecosystem it is, they're lacking some configuration options, which Logitech had. They had that down. But, and here's the big but, Logitech did not allow, so I already talked about Steam allows double presses and long presses and triple presses and you know, if you hold it down, it repeats. All kinds of functionality that you can add into it. Layers, that if you hit a button, then it goes into a layer and then everything changes. That kind of stuff. If you want to see some of the stuff that's possible with the Steam configuration, Existential Egg has a channel who covers stuff really well, better than I can. So here's my roundabout. I actually need to be on this side on the roundabout, because I am making a right turn. And my understanding is that that means I need to be in the left lane, unlike what that guy just did. And I got the trailer skirt thingy pretty badly. Anyway, so it double, triple, holds, repeats, long presses, layers, all these things that Steam's done. And if Thrustmaster would just go to them and say, look, you know, here's our shifter, here's the drivers, you know, you've already developed all of this awesome software, so can you configure ours as well? That would be a perfect team up. It would improve everybody's gaming experience who uses Thrustmaster, at least within Steam. And then you could go in and what it might actually do is drive more people to the Steam ecosystem too, because you could have these racing games where they're not currently in Steam, iRacing or something like that. I'm not sure if iRacing's in Steam, but some of these driving games that are currently not in Steam, and they would say, ooh, if I get in Steam, then people can configure their setup with the Steam, and that would be motivation to get in my book. In fact, that's motivation enough that I bought Dead Space on Galaxy of Games a little while ago, and I wish I hadn't. I wish I had just bought it on Steam. Now, I know you can add external programs into Steam, but it's not as good as if you just have Steam. You know, if you just buy the program on Steam, it's kind of a pain to do and whatnot. Once it's in, assuming it's compatible, there's not a problem. Although I've tried doing like what I don't remember what other game I tried adding in, and I just couldn't get it to work. I did add Minecraft in, and that actually worked pretty well. But some of them are not really compatible with Steam, and so part of being in Steam is, you know, whoever the developer or Steam, whoever it is, make sure it's compatible. You know, make sure that the Steam overlay works, which is really nice because you can go in mid-game and change up your configuration and say, well, I actually don't like this button here. I'm going to switch it over to here. Ooh, a Scania dealer. Cool. Oh. A little bit hard on the braking there. Anyway, so you can go in mid-game with the Steam overlay and you can swap things up. In fact, so I can't because I've got a mod enabled to make my my triple screen work the way I need it to, and it kind of blocks the Steam overlay. So I'm not really able to do it. It pops up briefly and then goes away. So I have to go out again. But normally, you just pop up the Steam overlay and configure your stuff and try it out. Okay. Scania dealership. And Europa car. Anyway, so I love my Thrustmaster, but the configurability, I've been looking. If somebody knows, please comment. If you're watching it later, comment. I'll get the comment. If you're watching live, chat, because I have been unable to find any good configuration software from Thrustmaster. There's, for the pedals, there's calibration software, and for the shifter, there's calibration software, but there's nothing that allows me to like remap the buttons and stuff. And you would think that, I mean, Thrustmaster's been in the business for a long time. Like back when I bought my Microsoft Sidewinder back in mid-90s, Thrustmaster was in the, you know, like they made Thrustmaster stuff back then, you know, so they've been in the business for a long time. And I find it more than a little surprising that they don't have a good configuration wizard, a good configuration client. make it work well. So anyway, that's my only real rant about Thrustmaster at this point is they need to get on the software side of things. You know, they've got good drivers, they've got good calibration stuff, but they don't have configuration stuff. Yep, okay, that was. So anyway, loving on my Thrustmaster, just missing some of the customization options. And again, even the Logitech couldn't do what Steam could do. So I tried to figure out a way to just let Steam configure my Logitech, because even though it had the configuration stuff, it wasn't that great. And I did mess around a little bit earlier today to see if maybe there was a way to configure it with the Steam client. You know, if I enabled generic gamepad or something, was there a way that I could just pass something through, you know, and just say, hey, configure these buttons? Because I don't want Steam to take over the force feedback. I feel like it would probably lose something in doing that. But the buttons would be great. You know, it doesn't need to configure the force feedback, it just needs to configure the buttons. Just pass the force feedback through or whatever. Excuse me. So, well, I'm a little overtime on my stream here, but assuming it doesn't crash on me, I'm close to the end of the journey. I'd like to go ahead and make the delivery, get it done with. So we're gonna push through and get it done. And this is so hard to drive like that. I am not skilled at driving that way, that's for sure. Anyway, it's fun to mix it up a bit though. Okay. And there's a part of me that kind of wants to head up to Iceland as my next trip. Although the ferry ride, 800, I don't even know if I'm going to come out ahead on this job, because I lost $200 on running the red light twice, I think. So that's probably $400 plus the fuel, which I'm about half a tank at this point. So I probably used half a tank on this job, and it was only $2,600 to begin with. $500 in fuel, $400 in tickets, $800 in the ferry, plus the time. I don't even know if I'm going to come out ahead with this ferry job. So a trip to Iceland would probably be even worse. I mean, the only money that's getting made here is what my driver's making, and that's like $90 a delivery or something like that. So, you know, not a whole lot. I do have a little cash right now because, you know, I took out a $500,000 loan and I haven't used it all up yet, so there's that. But I don't want to just float on loans, you know, to keep playing. I'm gonna have to figure out how to make the economy work out. And part of me kind of wants to play Classes economy mod, but I'm not sure how badly that would mess things up if I switched out the mod mid-turn. Maybe I ought to compare some on the two of them and see which one actually has bigger numbers. You know, there's Classes economy mod. If I were to switch it, would it completely mess everything up? Because I don't necessarily want to make more money. I don't want to. It's not a goal of making it slower. I'm just afraid that I'm not actually coming out ahead. Back when I was doing quick jobs, I was slowly. I mean, you know, you start out with €2,000 or whatever, and I made it up to like €20,000 before I took out a loan. It only took me 10 deliveries or something like that to get to that point. Maybe it was even more than that, actually. But I did make some money. But now that I've become my owner-operator type deal, I don't know if I'm actually making any money. Next time I do a delivery, I may have to actually write down. You know what I can do? I can review the video after the stream here. I'm gonna go back to the beginning of the stream and find out what my money was when I took the job, and then what my money is after I get paid, and see whether I actually come out ahead or if I'm losing ground. Now, that having been said, I have my loan payments that get paid that technically, I mean, I could be losing a little money on that front and I'd still be making profit. But, oh, cool. The Jets. Anyway, so maybe I could still be making money, but I definitely, before my next delivery, I'm gonna write down. Actually, I think I'll probably grab a notebook, and not another delivery tonight. I'm not awake enough for another delivery tonight. But write it down and see if I actually make any money by the time I make the delivery, or whether I actually lost money, because I have this sneaking suspicion that I'm actually losing money, which would be too bad, because I'm gonna have to figure out something different. Now, I did upgrade to a more powerful, less fuel efficient truck, partially so that I could do deliveries like this, where it's a bigger delivery, and in theory I can make more money. And maybe for that reason I need to start, focusing my skills on heavy haulage, which would probably be high value cargo, I think is what it's called, so that I can make enough money to justify my bigger truck, because with the, I feel like it's going to add, $20 to the job or something, but with the higher skills you get paid better. So maybe that's I definitely slowed down enough on that one, especially because I'm just kind of going through this exit here. Anyway, we'll see if I make any money. Like I said, it was a $2,600 job, so when I get to the end and I get paid, I'll write down how much I have at that point, and then I can review the stream and figure out how much I had in the beginning and know whether I made any money, because I didn't. Pretty sure I didn't. We'll see. Man, $70 coming up here, and $50 after that. Cool. There's a part of me that wants to just drive around on these little towns and find out how much of it is actually designed and rendered and whatnot, and how much of it, because generally in a video game, if you can't see it, it's not there. So part of me wants to see, because like I did back there, sometimes I drive a surprisingly long time in the wrong direction before I realize I'm going in the wrong direction. And loan installment. I was gonna say, I just got a speeding ticket. But nope, loan installment of $18.62. There went any money I did make. I said, I've been at this for a couple of days to make this delivery. And $1,800 loan makes it where my $2,600 disappears pretty quickly, because $1,800 plus all those other things I mentioned, and I'm in the negatives. I'm not making money. Oh well, it's okay. I'll just keep taking out loans so I can keep driving. Woo, that was kind of a fast turn there. Hmm. 5 minutes to delivery. I wonder how much time I still have before they expect me to deliver. I have a whole day. I could have like done all kinds of touristy stuff, but then I would be even farther behind on my money. So guess that wouldn't be such a good idea after all. Okay. Slow it down. Oh, turn signal. Makes sense that I'm in a quarry, huh? That's a pretty cool tailings pond there. Much prettier than real tailings ponds are. Okay, that's probably not true. Okay, now here's the question. Where do they want me to put this? And the speed limit's 70 in here, huh? Man, I can like really go. For my parking brake, let's talk to the foreman. Okay, it is time to do a delivery. Okay. So up like that, huh? My bet is that I will not be able to pull through. So we're gonna do, I'm gonna switch to this view really quickly. And then let's see. I go through over there. Or if I go, I might be able to go around there or just straight through. We're gonna just go straight. We're gonna try and just go straight through here. Oh, wrong button. Okay. The question is, actually I know the answer. I was gonna say the question is which way I'm supposed to be in there, but I do remember it was in the picture. I might clear that. Oh, you know what I need to do? I'm gonna lift that guy, because then I've got all kinds of maneuverability. But I can still run into things apparently. The nose is all up in the air now. Okay. Let's park it. Let's survey our work. Far from the best parking job, but it is within those lines. So in theory, I could have gone the other way, but I never would have made it through there, I don't think. So let's go ahead. I want to snap a picture before we call it. Okay, photo mode. In fact, I'm going to do this really quickly. Let's go like that. So I want to figure out on this modified layout. Oh. Okay, so I see why I did what I did. But I don't need the joystick move at this point. So I am going to move this guy to a directional pad. And he is going to be W A S D. And then we're going to do the middle guy. That's what we can do. Okay, click action is going to be Now click action is going to be up. Now click action is going to be down. And additional settings. Nope, not you. Okay, I got to do more complicated than this. How do I do that? You? You. Nope, not you. Okay. What's the button I want? Okay. What's the button I want? Oh, you know what? It's off screen. That's what the problem is. I think is that it's off screen. Okay. Let's try that again. Maybe. Where do I get into the activator types? Because that's what I need. Oh, you know what? It's this. It's one of those guys. There we go. Okay. So regular press is going to be bound to E, and a long press is going to be bound to Q with a hold to repeat, the lower repeat rate. Okay, so now we go back. Nope, not you. No. Go back into game. Now, if I okay, so now I should be able to come over here and do this, and then if I click, it'll go up. That's not working. That didn't work quite the way I wanted it to. So if we go, yeah, we could do this. We go mode shift button. It's going to be the right grip, and it's going to turn this guy because he doesn't have one. Remove actuator. Okay, where am I? Okay, so now if I go mode shifting, change it into a directional pad, then this guy is going to be Q, and this guy is going to be E, and the mode shift button is going to be the right grip. Okay. So now if I hold that, there we go, look at that. Okay. I think I want to get Something like that. Okay, that's probably good. Okay, capture screenshot. Well, that took way too long. Okay, let's drop it. Okay. Base reward, signing up at 2606. And I went up a level, so I guess there's that. I think I need to get more high value cargo skills. I don't know. We're gonna stick with you. We'll go ahead and get flammable solids. We'll do that. Okay. And then, so if I look at my money right now, I'm going to write this down. Good old pen and paper, or, pencil and paper in this case. I have 139,642. 139,642. And I will have to go back into the stream and check whether I made any money. Whatever the case, thanks for those who joined Crash Bandicoot. It was fun to interact with you a little bit. Thanks for coming and joining and watching. And I think I am going to call that a night after an extra half hour of streaming versus what I was originally planning on doing. Again, thanks for those who watched while I was streaming, and thanks for anybody that comes back and watches this after the fact. Until next time.